Sports on YouTube.
We have checked in with Texas A&M. We still have Ohio State, UT. We've discussed Baylor throughout the day, and they just did receive the commitment from Armani Winfield from Louisville, another highly ranked wide receiver. Anthony Dasher, UGAsports.com, joins us on Georgia. And yet, Anthony, thanks for your time on National Signing Day, being a hell of a busy day. It's just a methodical class for Kirby Smart and company, whether it's a 1 or a 2 or whatever, ranking 3, whatever it ends up being.
Yeah, I think, no question. They have some, specific needs they tried to go out and hit today. And I think for the most part, they did exactly that. They really wanted to fortify the secondary and, get some more guys for the defensive line. We know some guys leaving after this year. I think for the most part, they've done pretty well.
They seem to check every box. They needed a quarterback in the class. Yeah. They got that. Look, they just announced Marvin Jones Jr., a Florida State legacy who was a Georgia commit. Who do you think the biggest one was for them today, though?
Ooh, man, there's several of them. I mean, they got the 5-star running back Branson Robinson to plug into that running back group. Barry Alexander, I know folks in Texas are very familiar with. That was definitely a huge pickup. Then you look at what they did in the secondary. Jaheim Singletary, the top-ranked cornerback, according to Rivals, was another, tremendous pickup. Julian Humphrey, another one. I mean, just another guy who's probably be able to step right in and get some really extensive playing time. Dalen Everett, another cornerback. They really, ton of teams were after. So probably those would be my main ones right there. But you mentioned, getting Marvin Jones just a little bit ago. Another just a tremendous pickup for Kirby Smart.
Anthony, what was kind of the focus or the theme for this class in your mind as far as the must-haves at certain positions and what they had to get done? And then obviously a lot of that comes with just the extras of you may be loaded at a certain position, but you always want more. But what was kind of the main focus or theme and then the main objectives that they needed to accomplish with this class?
Well, no doubt the secondary. I mean, that's even with the guys they've got. I mean, Kirby Smart talked about that today. They're still down in numbers for what he would like to be. But, I mean, you look at what the team has right now. As far as cornerbacks, safeties are going to be back next year, they are scratching bare bottom. They really are. They really had to do a great job of bringing in not just some numbers, but some talented kids as well. Because again, you're talking about some of these true freshmen. I think next year they're going to have a chance not just to play, but perhaps start. With at least one of the cornerback spots for next season. So getting those guys in the secondary was definitely the number one goal for Georgia and Kirby Smart this year.
Anthony, when you're good, when you're elite, we know what Nick Saban has had with his coaching staff. There are head coaches everywhere, including the one at Georgia, Kirby Smart. Now, Dan Lanning's at Oregon, among others that are moving on. It's part of being successful. It's a great compliment as well. It's a great opportunity for Dan Lanning. What are your thoughts about what he could do for Oregon as a head coach?
I think he's going to bring, number one, just a ton of energy. I mean, he's cut out of a lot of that same cloth that Kirby Smart is, as far as just really being really energetic. The kids love playing for him, and I dare say he's going to do a fine job of recruiting. Out in Oregon, for the Ducks. He's just going to bring I think his experience and what the teams he's worked with. I think he's going to do an outstanding job. I'm looking forward to seeing what kind of success he has.
And they've replaced him with Will Muschamp, right?
Well, Will Muschamp and Glenn Schumer, technically co-defensive coordinators, but I'm sure when it comes to calling the plays, Will, with his experience, will probably get the most of those. But we'll see. I mean, they really like Glenn Schumer. Thinks he's one of the up-and-coming stars in the coaching profession.
Anthony, let me ask you this. I mean, NIL has obviously become such a big deal, and for those of us that cover college football, it's a new reality and something that's just going to be a part of it moving forward. How has Georgia adjusted that over the last year, and how much do they seem to not rely on but benefit from NIL? Is that something that's a strength or something that's still kind of a work in progress? Because, I mean, obviously people are going to pick Georgia just because it's Georgia, but how much have they gotten involved in that game as well?
Well, not as much as you might think. I mean, I know a lot of these kids now, they look at what the schools can do for them as far as NIL deals go, but you're not really seeing a whole bunch of that at UGA right now. I say that it's something, in light of the news today, that's something they may have to address moving forward. But so far, it has not been something that's they've really put a lot of focus in. But like I said, what happened today, that could definitely change the season. come.
All right, Anthony, we appreciate it. Again, Georgia's like clockwork. We're not done yet. Anthony Dasher, again, UGA Sports, with us on Georgia's National Signing Day class.
You think we'll have Anthony on again in the next couple of weeks? Because if not, I want to ask you about this Michigan game, this Orange Bowl coming up on December 31st, Anthony. Playoff for the Bulldogs and the Wolverines, obviously new to the party, but coming in hot. Your thoughts? Obviously, Georgia in that SEC championship game, not the result that they wanted. How do you see them bouncing back, and how do you see them matching up with the Wolverines?
Well, it's going to be interesting. I mean, Michigan's obviously a different style of team than Alabama is, and more of a physical, running style team. That may be a better matchup for Georgia's defense. And that's what Georgia defensively, I think, is maybe better equipped to handle. Now, they did talk a lot about some of the players, from the defense. And they spoke about how they tried some different things in Alabama, which obviously did not work too well against the time. So if they didn't have to play again, you see Georgia maybe kind of go back to what they were doing all year defensively, try instead of trying the tweaks that they did, especially in the secondary, they got to burn several times up at a time.
Hey, Anthony, thank you. Appreciate it.
Yep.
We might be back in touch here pretty soon between now and, of course, the semifinal games on New Year's Eve. Anthony Dasher, UGAsports.com, with us on Georgia's class. A&M, Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State, Texas right now, pretty much set in whatever order you want to put. And, of course, it's great when you're number one, and now develop them. You have stars. And as even Connor Jordan, the young man from Cooper and Lubbock, decide, once you get on campus, those stars disappear. Well, not for sometimes those who have the stars when how they feel about how they should be treated or who they are. It's about developing them. And if you get enough with 4s and 5s, and then you also develop them and you make them accountable, then yes, then you can be Alabama or maybe Georgia or Ohio State, among Oklahoma and a few others as well.
Yeah, that's very fitting to move into this. I mean, one school that celebrated signing day pretty much every year, and the once or twice that they did not celebrate it to the level that they normally have, it'd be Texas and towards the end of the Mac Brown tenure, when they weren't, number one in the country every year all of a sudden. And I just saw this note from Jeff Howe, who we're going to talk to, right?
Yeah, in the very next segment.
Okay. Sarkisian said there could be upwards of 36 new scholarship players on their roster next year.
Well, I mean, he's going to, and I'm not surprised, because he was gonna throw players into the transfer portal like crazy, and he should have, because that was probably their biggest issue this year, was guys who just hadn't bought in. And, I mean, you heard the coach on the bus, the transfer portal's always open for you, and they've already lost a few guys to the transfer portal, none of which that I don't think they're going to miss all that much, and probably going to lose at least one of those quarterbacks, Casey Thompson or Hudson Card, if not both.
And a lot of those guys that are into the transfer portal, we were celebrating them 3-4 years ago, 4 stars. Yeah, exactly.
Here's one thing about it, though. Charlie Strong also, remember, evaporated. I've used that word too much, some of that roster. It was built up as a big deal. The culture changed. It's still about, can you fit? Can you win? Can you cultivate? Can you, again, get them to play at a high level? And if you get enough of those big boys, enough of the high-level stars, yes, if you get them to do that and they're that talented with an upside, it can work even better. When we come back, we'll check in with UT. Steve Sarkisian's press conference is up. And Jeff Howe, the Longhorn Blitz and the Horn in Austin, next on Sikkim 365 Radio.